I think I finally got a good handle on what's going on. I think the problem is I'm really a victim of Obamacare, because my problem started in the year 2013. And Obamacare is not what people think. It's not just some insurance plan that people got or something related to Obamacare, but Obamacare was a complete overhaul of the American healthcare system. That means everything healthcare right now is actually part of Obamacare. So even if you're getting private healthcare, everything is controlled by the laws of Obamacare. And the things that Obamacare did not change, it just ratified, So it does not mean that when things stay the same, they're not part of Obamacare, because Obamacare ratified those things, right? It was a complete overhaul. So really, Obamacare is more than just some kind of insurance. It is just equal to American healthcare. Okay, so, and I was certainly in the world of private healthcare. I wasn't in any kind of government thing. But still, it was being controlled. All the rules were being controlled by Obamacare. And of course, the law says affordable and patient protection. And what I experienced in the Washington, D.C. area was the furthest thing from affordable and protection. So I think the sustainable story, we can call it deliverance on the Potomac. Now with me, things could only occur over my cold and nearly dead hands. Otherwise, the paddle, the rifle, the banjo, and the bad teeth would have been implanted up their derriere. Homie, don't paddle faster. But what's going on here is this is a version of deliverance that is a version of opulence, extravagance, a feast, a celebration to demonstrate the prowess of the giant healthcare systems and their government supporters. They kind of buy them and they own them and this and that. So an exhibition of what they have assembled and created over the years. Not only can they commit the worst crimes, but they can eternally get away with it with the waste of millions of dollars in public and private healthcare dollars and a commitment to millions more. Whatever it takes. So really, I only had to go for a simple MRI test, and I was just supposed to wear some gym clothes in the middle of the day, go lie down for like 45 minutes or so, and it also included a little injection to add something like a dye. Okay, and then and after the test is done, you just resume your daily activity. So all in all, I am barely a patient. I was only having a glancing encounter with the medical community. I subscribe to a conservative treatment style, and I did not even want to have any tests. I already knew that my symptoms were stable for 10 years, and the MRI of the head in such a case is simply for the medical community to make money. So when these people committed crimes against me and society, it was not that I was hospitalized and dependent on their care. They essentially came out into society and grabbed their victim. So what happened is the doctor who sent me for the MRI test, at that point, she was just sending me for the test to make money. So that is Dr. Sonali Kulkarni, and that's spelled Kulkarni. And she's a neurologist at a Inova practice in Fairfax. But what she did after that is, in exchange for favors, and the favors were given to her by the head of the practice, Dr. John Cochran. Now, of course, it's not paid out of his pocket, and it's not even really money. It was really professional favors given to Dr. Kulkarni from Inova and from the Virginia Commonwealth Medical School. Now, the Virginia Commonwealth Medical School is actually a state institution. Okay, so and Dr. Kulkarni agreed to an indecent proposal. But unlike the movie, Dr. Kulkarni was not agreeing to become a prostitute. And if at all there's any play on a movie title, it's going to be Deliverance on the Potomac. See, because Dr. Kulkarni comes from a wealthy family and her husband is a high-earning physician. But at age 45, this is in February 2013, and after spending large sums of money for more and more education and training, first training to be an ophthalmologist, but still no neurologist added Dr. Kulkarni to their practice for 10 years after the completion of her neurology residency. Dr. Cochran brought her on in some, odd jobs kind of capacity. But this indecent proposal allowed this wannabe, Dr. Kulkarni, to catch up. And this included making this loser at her field the director of a mentorship and internship program at Virginia Commonwealth University Medical School. And, this program is aimed at convincing the top medical school students to enter into a neurology residency. And the last thing you want is someone who was a loser for 10 years running the program. Okay, so, but anyway, in the world of medicine, the treating physician is given great deference. And we know this, so and the way things work is, even if a non-treating physician, such as an expert or a whistleblower, gives testimony in court, the large physicians groups, they, including the state-run medical boards, they'll ruin that physician. But at the same time, when a treating physician testifies about their own patient, and even if the physician says a lot of wrong things, still these groups don't do anything. So, and also with the AMA Code of Ethics, the way the physician-patient relationship works is that even though it was a lowly physician, that Dr. Kulkarni, she's still said to be the supervisor when it comes to everyone else at the practice, including the head of the practice. So really, the head of the practice, Dr. Cochran, is actually her subordinate when it comes to her patient. Okay, but here's how the indecent proposal worked. What happened is, the agreement was like this. I was to go to Capital Imaging in Bethesda. And Capital Imaging in Bethesda, as it turns out, is mainly, they just have one little MRI machine, and they essentially exist to commit a whole bunch of fraud, like insurance fraud and so forth. So really, legit care is just a side business. But anyway, I was going there for legit care. But the way it was going to work is, Dr. Jacobson, a neurosurgeon, who's the primary owner of Capital Imaging, what he does is, the way he runs his fraud is, he has many practices in Washington, D.C. And to get around all the laws and rules of Washington, D.C., he has an MRI facility in Bethesda, which is Capital Imaging. And he also has a practice, which just runs one day a week on the top floor of the same building on Fridays. So what he does is he sends his Washington, D.C. patients to his MRI machine in Bethesda, and there he has another co-owner of the facility, who's Dr. John Athos, a radiologist, and he's physically in New York. And so Dr. Athos will write a false interpretation, and then the insurance agrees to the surgeries, which are what Dr. Jacobson does, are back surgeries. And the back surgeries are actually done at Suburban Hospital, which is outside of DC. So they kind of get their DC patients all into Maryland, into this MRI facility, and then they push them into Suburban Hospital for the surgery. surgery, and this Dr. Jacobson was essentially running a surgery mill and making a lot of profits for Suburban Hospital, which is owned by Johns Hopkins, and they were making a lot of profits for Dr. Jacobson and for Johns Hopkins by doing all these unnecessary surgeries. So, I found some papers and I also found some other evidence, but it all shows the same thing. That's exactly what he was doing. He was doing all these unnecessary surgeries. In one case, what I found out from court is what Dr. Jacobson did was he used something like what he would do is he had the skill to do the surgery right. Now, they were unnecessary surgery, but he still had the skill to do it right. But he would intentionally do it very fast. He would take all the shortcuts at one time. So, in one case, what he did is for a patient, he used something like a large power drill to get the job done fast. The drill severed several nerves and sucked them into the drill. Dr. Jacobson just shook the nerves out of the drill and then glued the nerves back on, and then the patient during recovery discovered that he permanently lost bowel and bladder function. So, in my case, what Dr. Jacobson would do is he trained his MRI technician. Now, an MRI technician, as far as them giving injections, they are very lowly. They're really a phlebotomist. Phlebotomist just means you just give like basic, simple intravenous injections. Either you draw blood or you inject something like for an MRI test, which is a simple test, right? So he trained his MRI technician, and this is only a neurologist could give this training, and any doctor knows this, that an MRI tech or not even a regular general practitioner would have the skill to give this kind of injection, where the technician, his name is Manuel Makaya Wong Papel, and the Maryland board, how corrupt they are, they let him even use an alias for his first name of Antonio. So he trained Mr. Papel to use the pretext. What he did is use the pretext that my contrast injection failed, so he had to give the injection in another site. Okay, so he was trained to give this other injection, but in this case it would be a needle, and he would inject and he would establish the catheter by navigating through the back of the left hand. Exactly. He would stick the needle through the back of the left hand, and he was specially trained by Dr. Jacobson to do this without striking the nerves. There's all kinds of nerves and bones sitting in the back of the left hand, and when you try to get down and when you inject deep, so what he was doing is he was going to inject into the ulnar artery. Now, in the first place, it's not even a vein, right? It's an artery, and the ulnar artery sits deep inside the left hand. So the doctor, the neurologist, trained this technician, to insert the needle through the back of my left hand and get it into the ulnar artery. And he did strike some bone. I did get pain, and I did have some pain for years after that too. But the bone pain would not have stopped the procedure because that wasn't all that painful. But had he struck some nerves, which he very easily could have, he could not have continued with what he did. So he was specially trained by Dr. Jacobson to do this injection. and I'm going to continue this on to part 2.